Would you change anything about your body? Today we're going to talk about body image. Welcome, my name is Natasha and today I have with me two very beautiful ladies, Cheryl and Ritchell, because today we're having a girls only episode. But guys, if you want to stay to find out how girls think about things, feel free to stay lah, huh? Okay, so today we want to introduce our two beautiful ladies. Why don't you tell us a bit more about yourselves?
Okay, hello, I'm Cheryl. I'm currently a producer-presenter at a non-profit organisation called Hai Hao Ma.
I'm Ritchell. I'm actually a social worker at also a non-profit organisation.
So today we actually got the two of you to join us on our episode about body image, right? Because we know that you two have some of your own personal experiences. So for Cheryl, recently you came up and shared your story on some media publications about how you went through that whole process of going through. So we're very happy with whatever you've been sharing about your recovery. We're very happy to celebrate that. And today we would love to hear more about your story as well.
Yes.
And Ritchell, you also had some experiences, right, with some of the weight loss journey that you had from a very young age. And so today we're excited to hear both your stories. And today we want to talk about body image, right? Because recently I read this article from Rolling Stone, and basically it was talking about how Taylor Swift was forced to remove a visual from her new MV because on the scale it said fat. Like on a weighing scale, she looked down and it said fat, and it was triggering to some people. And actually beyond that, right, the thing about the article that shocked me the most was that there was this part that said 78% of 17-year-old girls, right, have issues with their body image. And in fact, more than 20 million women, right, are clinically diagnosed with an eating disorder throughout their lives. So this is, I think when I read these statistics, it was quite shocking to me because that's an incredible amount of women, and I think this is a very real issue. And coming back to the idea of NGL people, we want to talk about things that are important, that are real, that may not always be talked about in such a manner, but we believe in having a safe space for conversation. So we're going to talk about that today. Okay, so I want to ask the two of you, right, like at which point in your life did you start to become body conscious?
I think for me would be during secondary school, especially like during Sec 3, that period when some of the K-pop groups kind of just started. I remember like watching Girls' Generation. One of their songs was like, tell me your wish. And then like
focus on the leg.
Yeah, I know, right? Then like I would be watching like multiple times, and I would ask myself like, how come their legs so skinny? Because they will wear like very short shorts, and then it accentuates their legs a lot, and then very long and slender legs. So I think subconsciously I just kept like replaying the videos, like from watching the performance, their dance, to like, their legs. Then I compare their legs with my legs, then like, how come like not as skinny? I think that was when I became a bit more body conscious.
Were there other things also, like with your friends, the kind of things you'll talk about?
I think when I compare myself with my friends, that's also one factor, because actually I'm quite on the tall side, like as compared to a normal average Singaporean girl height. So my friends are very petite in size, they're very small framed also.
我是那个 petite 的.
It's a nice word for short, right? You're like petite lah, okay.
And like my parents will always say that I'm very big boned. So I would think that I'm like a giant and I'm like towering over everybody. So that was when I compared to people.
Right, so Sec 3 lah.
Yeah, secondary school.
Ritchell, what about you?
So for me, right, I actually didn't really struggle with maybe body image when I was younger, you say like primary school. Because I remember like I was wearing crazy outfits, like I would wear leggings inside of like Bermudas. Like berms that I still wear like layer with a legging, but I still would wear it very confidently. So to me, I thought I was like
Confession,
fashion, right? Then until I remember it was Sec 1 around that period lah. Then my family like took a family picture, so our parents will like develop it, right?
Yes.
Then so I found it and then I saw it. I was like, wow, what happened to me? Is that me? Like, how come my face and my neck, right, is like the same line? Like there's no like angle cut in. So I just 一条线 or like one line down, So when I saw it, I was like, wow, something is wrong. I think the feeling was very like, maybe like a bit more like disgusted lah, like what is this? Yeah. So I think it started around that, as far as I can remember.
Did anybody say anything to you like back then?
Or my mom would make comments and things like, I mean, she was saying in Chinese, and I believe a lot of us are in Asian families, like 你很胖啦, so you're very fat, and things like that. So it also started a bit from there, yeah.
So like for both of you, like at which point do you think it started to maybe develop into something more?
I think for me, the kind of like the point where I really wanted to do something about my body would be during like JC. Same cause I was in a CCA where all girls, we're in a floorball team, so it's an all girls team, and then we would be having like these kind of conversations like who is fat, I am fat, I'm not skinny as you, how come you're so skinny, kind of conversations, or like what you eat, oh my gosh, I'm eating too much. And then like one day a friend of mine just kind of like made this comment She was like, oh, I tried to vomit, the other day, and then it's so difficult, I don't know how people do it. I only managed to like, puke 2 pieces of meat out. Then I think that was when it kind of like, is this a possible way that I can lose weight? Because I was already struggling with it. Right. So it's just another method for me to try and that was when I really started to try it out for myself. Because I was like, is it that difficult And then unfortunately or fortunately, for me it was very easy. So I managed to puke quite a lot of things out.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I was like, actually like quite easy, huh? How come that friend say it's difficult? And then I found that it was like I had instant results. So I mean, of course you don't eat, your body will naturally like just become skinnier And I thought that was a possible way but
so it's like when you eat, you will prepare like in your head, you are gonna puke after that.
Yeah. So I will eat to my heart's content, and then I will be like, okay, when I go home later, I must faster go home because if you take too long to go home, it will digest already. Then how you get it out? Yeah. So I had to like quickly rush home after lunch or after whatever meal, and then I would hide in the toilet. I'll just like close and then I'll just puke in the toilet, and then that was kind of how it kind of started.
How long did this go on for?
I think on off it lasted for about 6 years. On off but I think the peak of the whole bulimic behavior was only after I graduated from uni. Yeah, because I kind of wanted to pursue a career in the media industry, and then I did I signed some contract to be with some artist management company, just hoping to seek some direction as to how to get a footing in the career. So I know that the media industry demands a lot of that physical appearance, right? You have to look a certain way. And then there's a manager who I kind of looked up to in terms of direction because I really know nothing about the industry. So seeking his advice on certain things, one day he just came up to me and he just said Cheryl, it's not that we don't want to give you any gigs or events to be a part of, but you are just not marketable and your eyes are very small. So when I can't do anything with my small eyes, but when I heard it, I just like, wow. I mean, I can say it now in a very candid manner, but at that point of time,
it must have been very crushing.
I was devastated, I was like, oh my gosh. So my desires to pursue a career in that industry are gone because I'm just not marketable. This way, this body, the way I look is just not gonna make a cut in the industry. And then that was that tipping point that I just, boom, it was a full-blown bulimic behavior from that point on.
Then what happened? Eventually, how did you, because when you shared your story on that media publication, you did say that I think you are now currently in a place where you experience recovery. So what brought you to that point, given that it was at this place?
Yeah, okay, so because the whole binge purging thing was a very, mentally very tiring process. I love food, but I also don't want to eat it. So there's this huge conflict in my head where I really want to eat, but I know that if I eat something, it's going to add somewhere. So I would actually plan my binges in a sense that I'll go and buy 2 boxes of cornflakes. And then when my parents, my family, everyone is asleep, right? And then all the lights are off, then I'm just in my room alone, right? I will start opening the boxes of cornflakes and then I'll eat. So I'm like this rat at home. Just like my back will be facing the door and I'm just like eating and eating and eating. And then whenever I hear like any slight movement, I'll be so scared. Because I scared people, oh, is it my mom, my dad come open the door and then like spot me, you know, eating there, like stuffing my face with all the cornflakes and all. So scared, you know, you're living in that shame and that
Actually very
fear.
paranoid, right?
Yeah, very paranoid one. So I love cornflakes I don't know why I love cornflakes all the carbs whatever. So I would just eat until my heart's content. Like I finish the 2 boxes of cornflakes, then I'll think, what should I want to eat next? Then I'll just eat other things, but then I'll time myself. Okay, Cheryl, you can only eat within this hour. Once this hour is up, go to the toilet.
Wow. Yeah. And help for you was seeing a counselor?
Yeah. So I went to seek a psychologist. So one question that the psychologist asked me was that, hey, actually when you go and talk to your friends or when you ask your friends like, I mean, okay, sounds very primary school, like, why you friend me? You friend me? Is it because of the way I look? Basically, that's what the psychologist
So she asked you to ask your friends?
She didn't ask me to ask my friends, but she said like, you know, actually what your friends see in you, do they just solely focus on your looks? Like, do they treasure this friendship with you because of your looks? Then I'm like, I don't know, man. But then I really go and ask my friends, well, actually, why you friend me? Sounds so stupid. But I sincerely asked them all, like, how come? Actually, if I don't look like this, I look really old and haggard and like, you know, will you still be my friend? Then they're like, of course lah, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, okay, thank you very much. Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like very like, huh? At that point, like, you know, right now, like hearing this, but at that point of time, it kind of brought to me some sort of comfort because I was so focused on the way I look that I really discounted everything else. And I was so afraid of what people would think about me in terms of the way I look. So I needed to hear this from my friends, which seemed very like duh from them. But when I heard it, to me it's like, oh, okay.
A big change.
Yeah.
Actually, that's quite significant, because I feel like, you know, sometimes we like think so much about certain parts of our body that we don't like. But actually, to be honest, the people closest to us probably don't really think about these things, or it's not the reason why they like us or they want to be close to us. And in fact, hearing your story, I feel like I would want to tell my friends who may struggle with some of these things, right, that that's really not how I see them, and it's not even one of the main things that like I see them for. And I'm sure for some of our listeners, you know, like actually if this is something that maybe you struggle with, like the idea of body image, I really want to tell you, I mean, I don't know if I'm your friend, but I really want to tell you that I think you are so much more than how you look like on the outside, and the people who really love you, right, I'm sure love you for more than who you are on the outside. So if this is something that you're struggling with, I hope Cheryl's story encourages you to hang in there and to know that there can be recovery actually. And we're very, very happy to celebrate your recovery. Thank you for sharing your story with us. You know, so I want to ask Ritchell, right, because Cheryl has told us her story. Like just now you shared with us about your photo and like that realization, right? Like how did yours actually develop into something more serious?
I mean, for girls, we have all different sizes of boobs, right? So I was one day just telling my mom, like, wow, like, I really hated how big it is. Because I'm not sure for you guys when in secondary school, ours was the button type. So, you know, it's not like a zip or anything, it's just button. So I remember like every time maybe I stretch or like I reach for something, you know, like can see. And then I realized like, you know, I feel like it's only me that's having that issue because like I feel like my boobs are very big, right? So I was just telling my mom like, oh, I wish my boobs are smaller. And then she'll be like, you know, people who have small boobs also like will wish that they had yours. So to me, at that point, I think, maybe it helped a little bit, but it felt like at the end of the day, I was still trying to like compare myself against someone. So I had this experience when, I mean, in secondary school, we have school camps, right? So like girls, we will bunk together. So I remember when we bunk in together, there was only one toilet. For the room that I was staying is 8 girls. So we had to, you know, pair up and pack up and and shower lah. So I paired up with one of my very good friend and then lah, and she was very petite. Yeah, and at that point we were so tired already. It's like I think 12 midnight. So
yeah,
get it
just
over
go and
done
bathe
with,
lah,
you know,
yeah.
So dirty, someone sec 3 camp, just go and bathe. Then I remember, yeah, we bathe lah. Then she was looking at me and then she was
She look at you when you bathe.
Yeah, so weird, like someone staring.
because we had to
at me.
take turn, you know, one shower head, take turn. So we take turn lah. Then after that she looked at me, then she, wow. Then I was like,
Oh my gosh.
wow. I was like, she said, wow, I wish, you know, mine was like yours. Then I look at her, I wish I had yours. So, you know, like, we were just at the shower, like, comparing with each other, lor. Yeah, so, I mean, if you ask me now, right, I feel like because, I'm not sure about you, but for me, I was brought up with that comparison, you know, keep comparing ourselves. I believe many girls out there do that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you know, it's that comparison that I think kills me. That kills my mentality and my idea of what beauty is, of how I look at my body as well, and how I look at others as well. So I remember I chanced upon this influencer lah who talked about, you know, this slimming pill that she was eating. And so I was reading. Then after that, she posted a picture of like herself, which is, I mean, very plus size lah, oversized. So, and then after it's like a very skinny, like wow, have the curves and everything. Stomach is very flat. And I was like, I mean, obviously I look at the before, I was like, wow, 我的跟她好像一样啊。Look the same. 我看到 after, I was like, oh, I want how she looked like after. Yeah, and then after that, I mean, the solution that she proposed was the pill. Yeah, so I then used my pocket money and whatever money that I had.
Wait, how old were you?
Sec 1.
Wow.
So I used whatever pocket money that I have to buy.
How much was the pill, do you remember?
Sure, it's not cheap,
It's not cheap. It's
100
definitely
plus?
not. No. But below 100, yeah.
But still,
but sec 1
for
nobody
sec
got
one-
money.
Correct, yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember it's quite pricey, 50, about 50.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a lot for sec 1.
So it's a very dodgy packaging lah. You know, you don't know what it contains.
Yeah.
So at that point, I just took it lor, because I wanted that
Wow.
picture of that body. Yeah, and wow, the side effects was bad. Yeah, I remember.
Did it work? Did it work?
Now that you ask me, what I felt that worked was because every morning, right, like morning assembly, the pill direction is like take one every morning.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took one every morning, and then I would go for assembly. So we would sit down, read our books, whatever, right? And then at that point, I would feel every time I take the pill and then I sat at assembly, my stomach would have a very sharp pain. So I will always go to the toilet, you know, ask permission, go to the toilet, and then I would poop out everything lah from what I ate yesterday. So after I poop out, I felt a little bit better, but the pain will keep repeating every day. Yeah. So it came to a point where I went to the toilet, school toilet, right? I saw myself in the mirror after I came out of the toilet. I looked so white.
Oh no.
Yeah. Like as a sec 1 kid, I was like white,
Pale
like
lah,
very, very
completely,
pale.
yeah.
My lips like lost color. I was very tired. So it dawned upon me that like I'm doing something very bad to my body. Yeah. No one stood there and tell me like, hey, stop taking the pill or whatsoever, you know. But my body was I just felt like my body was in so much pain. Yeah. Then I hated what I was doing, but then I was also trying a way to come out of it. The mental like comparison of wanting to still want to look like that body that I saw the picture, right, is still there.
Yeah,
You know, even though I stopped taking the pill, but the image that I was gunning for is like, oh, when can I look like that? How can I look like that? So, you know, the pill is not working. So what else could I try? You know, that whole cycle. Yeah.
Wow, I really get that about the mental comparison. I think when I was growing up, like, the friends around me, like, they're all generally quite small, but they also quite self-conscious one. So I remember, like, even in like sec 1, sec 2, my friends will skip recess or like will tell me that they feel fat. And then to me, they really are not big. Because to me, I see myself as bigger, because like my hips very big, right? Then like I always thought that I was bigger, but they will like ask me whether I find them fat and stuff like that. And I think, okay, that was when I was younger. Growing up, always feeling like I'm a bit more bottom heavy than most of my friends. Which back then made me feel a little bit like I'm bigger. But actually now when I look at my old photos, right, I was so skinny. Like then I look at me now, I'm like, how did I think back then that was like big? It's things like that irritate me sometimes, even as an adult. And I mean, while all these stories are from our youth and our growing up, I'm sure some of it actually also spills into your adulthood lah, you know. So I guess for two of you, right, like in your adulthood, what are some things that actually, you know, you find yourself still struggling with or thinking about lah when it comes to body image?
I think one thing is I really wanted to also stop hating myself when I look at myself in the mirror. Yeah, I mean,
It's a big one.
yeah, because okay, my room is designed such that, you know, the moment when I wake up, right, the first thing I see is the mirror. Yeah, the first thing I see is the mirror. Then wow, you imagine every day waking
Then the hair pong pong.
you're in like your most you know, wake up bed hair state, right? Then you're like, wow.
What happened?
So sian, like, yeah, you look so horrible. I mean, like, yeah. So I think just having that change in mentality lah, and then wanting to invest in things that really matter, I guess, because I was investing a lot of time and effort in the way I look. But if I know that at the end of the day, right, this body is going to, you know, be old and, you know, it's just gonna like kind of fade away and all that, right? Then is it really worth my obsession in investing in it? Or should I actually spend more time to, you know, build up my character?
It's not mutually exclusive, right? Like building who you are on the inside and also wanting to look good. Like, is it necessarily a bad thing to want to look nice on the outside?
I think that it's normal to want to look nice. I mean, today we dress up for the podcast.
Yeah, we were just saying that we were both in the toilet just now doing our makeup.
Yeah, quite funny, right?
Yeah, they're like girls. Vanity.
You say outside not important, but then actually the blusher, lipstick.
and I think that there is healthy levels of vanity, right? There's healthy levels of it where we want to present ourselves, we want to impress others also.
Okay, ask you a question. Do you think that it's possible to want to look good just for yourself and not for other people?
Yeah, I think actually I find myself that there are some days that I will just want to dress up, like
Feel good
to
lah
feel
about
good
yourself,
lah.
right?
But then there's also that I feel good. Then, you know, if people see, then okay lah, nice lah. I mean, you don't have to say anything, but like just having people like just like, oh yeah, hey, dress up. Yeah. Because I hardly wear dress, and then the moment I just feel like dressing up morning. Yeah. Hey, why, Cheryl, why you dress so nice? Going where? I cannot just dress nice. But okay, thank you lah. Thank you for taking note lah. But so it's just still that, you know, having people to just like, hey, yeah, like
You wear that dress next week.
it's something different.
Once a week.
No lah, then that one, okay, enough. I buy you new dress.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have to admit it's true because there are some days, right, where I work from home, then I look at myself in the mirror, I really look so bad. It's like, I look so bad. And then I consider like, maybe I should like put some makeup and wear nice and work from home, right? Then I'm like, but today got no Zoom meeting. It's not worth it. I wear so nice, I put my makeup, then I do what? I go to the kitchen and fry broccoli. For what? You know, so okay lah. I take back my question. I think we do care about what people think. So I asked that question because just now we were talking about how like it's okay to care, just don't get too obsessive. But at the same time, we feel like maybe it's very hard to ever not care at all. So where is that in between, and what does like that healthy consideration of like our appearances look like without getting too obsessive?
I think there's a lot of internal like work that I've done, but it always started out. It started with awareness and being honest with myself. Like, this is what I'm struggling, that I'm actually very unhappy with my body. And I had to start there because if I didn't even know that I was, you know, the whole idea of comparison and what I was putting my body through, right, I would have went down that slippery slope. I don't know what else I would have done. Yeah. But I think it's that that place where I acknowledge that I didn't want to continue to stay there. And I think that we are worth more than really like what Cheryl said, right? More than our skin, more than this vessel, I think that we are contained in lah. Yeah.
I think personally for me, it would be an indication of how I react when people say or make a comment about the way I look. I think that is when the true test comes out, when you are faced head on with a situation like that. So at a point of time, previously when I was still kind of moving out of that recovery phase already, when I was a bit better, and there was this uncle in my block, suddenly out of nowhere just say, "Hey, uncle, you look like you put on weight, ah." Then okay, thank you very much, uncle. Then of course I have to be polite, like that. I want to say right, yes, no, what's your answer, right? But then I left that conversation, right, like very angry. Like I caught myself being very angry. Like, what did this uncle say about me? Am I really fat? Then I go and look in the mirror. Like, I can stare at myself a few times, and then that was when I realized that, hey, actually I was still very caught up with that comparison, with that thing. So moving on subsequently, right, when people make comments, whether I look like I lost weight or whether I look like I gained weight, right, I realized that if I'm not too delighted, right, at the comment of, "Hey, Cheryl, you look like you lost weight," then I don't internally I don't go like, "Yes," I don't do that, right. Then I know that, hey, actually,
Whatever
it's okay.
Is like
whatever you say is
bad.
okay. Good or bad, it won't shake me. It's like if you say I gain weight, I'm like, okay. If you say I lose weight, I also okay. Then that to me is an indication of me that I am in a better place. I'm in a good place. Yeah. So I think that is something that I catch myself lah. Be it whatever type of comments, which side of the comment. Yeah.
So it's a bit like the kind of power we give other people to kind of affect the way we see ourselves lah.
Because I think as much as you want to shut people's mouths sometimes, you just cannot lah. And you cannot stop what they think about you as well. So I think like what Ritchell said about the internal work, that you can only like really control the things that you can control and to work on the things that you can work on.
Was that part of your recovery process?
Yes. So as I mentioned previously, that one of the tipping point was when the manager made those remarks about how I was not marketable and my eyes were small. So I realized that actually, so I spoke to, so apart from like getting help from a psychologist, I actually spoke to my spiritual parents. So they're like kind of like mentors and people that I look up to. And so they actually helped me to kind of find the root issue of this whole body image struggle. So one of it, besides the K-pop kind of a image and all that, it was also the authority and the weight I gave to the words of the manager. I mean, to be very honest, I don't really know him very well, and he doesn't know me very well. But even then, because at that point in time, I saw him as that guiding light to a career that I wanted to pursue. So I gave him a lot of authority in determining how I really was in order to make a mark in the career. So I gave him too much authority that it affected me, and then I had to learn how to kind of release that. I had to learn how to say that, within myself and say that, hey, actually, I don't really know this person very well, so I don't need to care too much about what he says or to be too affected by it, and to slowly just say that, okay, so his words actually don't really matter. So if it doesn't really matter, am I really not marketable? Are my eyes really that small? But to be honest, my eyes are small, but it's fine. I'm very happy with my small eyes. But so just to say that, like, hey, I can really disregard whatever this person say. If not, you want to give weight to all the people that make any comments about you, it's going to be
shaky ground.
It's going to weigh so much on you. It's going to pull you down so much. So that was part of my recovery journey as well.
I feel like this one, I resonate with it because for myself, like my husband's in the media industry, right? And so obviously there are very good-looking girls there with like beautiful bodies and stuff. And I look at myself, I know that I am not like drop-dead gorgeous, that kind of level of like beautiful and whatnot. And I think there are times where if I don't, I guess, discipline my mind, it's quite easy to wonder about like, well, actually, like sometimes when he act with these people or when he goes to will he slowly find me like actually not attractive? Because like, wow, you go on set, right? Then all these people so pretty, so made up. Then you come home, right? I work from home. So like I frying broccoli in the kitchen. Without eyebrows and like wearing my FBT and all my old school t-shirts, So like I have this image, and then like Like, wow, last time my friend like drove past like my house, as in like the house that I was living in with my parents-in-law, right? Then my mother-in-law likes to dress up at home. Then he say, right, wow, I look into the house, your mother-in-law look younger than you. Excuse me, who asked you to drive past my house and say this kind of things? But yeah, he'll say like, wow, your mother-in-law wear very nice. Then you look like you just wake up at 6 p.m. So, but I know that I'm like that at home. I just can't really be bothered. So like, I think when I think about my husband being in the media industry, on an average day, I don't think about it, but it's stuff like when maybe we go for certain events together where I know there are going to be like other female celebrities, right? Then I feel like, am I presentable? Like, do I look like very plain? Or do I, even things like okay, am I like, is my body like, am I fit enough? And like stuff like that. But I think it's remembering that we don't just want to be defined by comparison alone, because actually, especially I feel with industries like the media industry, right? Like it is part of their job to look beautiful, and it is part of their job to look a certain way, and not everybody looks that way, and it's okay. Like I think learning to see that we are a lot more than what we are on the outside, right? And spending time to cultivate who we are on the inside, which actually is something that my husband tells me a lot. Like sometimes when I have some of these thoughts, then he will tell me things like, hey, actually, like that's not, like he's very realistic. I mean, he doesn't tell me that like, wow, you like Angelina Jolie, like you are the goddess of my life. Like, please, like he never tell me this kind of thing. But like he will very realistically tell me that like, that's not why I chose you or like you in the first place. In fact, that is not even like the most important thing to me. And what's more important is who you are on the inside, which is who I admire and I fell in love with. So I think these are things that really help me to remember. Like, I find that telling myself that I'm pretty or I'm beautiful doesn't really take away that feeling that I'm not. Like for me at least, like it doesn't remove that negative feeling. At most it kind of pushes it down or it distracts me. But it doesn't really exchange that feeling for something else. I think what has helped me though is if I choose to focus on other things beyond my physical beauty. It's not that these things are not important to me. I think I still make an effort sometimes to work out or to even like dress up myself, right? But I think knowing that that is not the most important thing and choosing instead to focus on things like my character. For example, focusing on things like I want to be somebody who is kind. I want to be somebody who listens well to people. I want to be somebody who is growing in my relationship with my family and learning to build that with them even as my parents get older and I get older. Things like that, like choosing who I want to be on the inside and recognizing that I want to invest my time, my brain space, the thoughts that I, in a sense, obsess over, think about a lot, right? I want to focus on some of these things rather than just how can I make sure that I'm more beautiful or more pretty on the outside? How can I make sure that I'm more slender, I am more slim? I think disciplining my mind in terms of watching what I dwell on.
Yeah, and I think, you're right to say that, because I feel like in every season, right, there's always something new to pick on about our bodies. And I think it's finding an anchor that, that
takes you through all of it.
The mental anchor that takes you through that season. For me, I think, when I read this verse in the Bible, it really speaks to me about, how God defines beauty. And God, defines beauty as, it says like in the verse that beauty doesn't come from the outward adornment of like your hairstyle, elaborate jewelry or what you wear, but it comes from, the unfading beauty of a quiet and gentle spirit. And I think, quiet, they don't literally mean, you just shut up and then you sit there and then you are pretty. It's not like that idea of beauty, but I do think it's that internal peace that you have with God and yourself, that you accept yourself and the way your body looks like, for what, the good as well of what it brings,
And I think we accept ourselves not just because we can accept but that God loves you and God like looks at you and says that you are beautiful, and we accept it because He accepts it. I guess as we come to the end of our episode, right, what are some like practical things that you want to leave our listeners with? I guess because when it comes to this idea of body image, we're all on a journey. And so I don't think that we need to feel very like anxious about having to get to a certain point or feel like wow, how come I'm still struggling with this? I think we all take our own unique journeys in this whole thing. But as we're on that journey, right, what are some things that might help?
I think it will be helpful. I mean, we are all girls here, and probably the audience watching today are girls, mostly girls lah. And I think it's so important that, I mean, we have girlfriends in our lives as well, that we hang around, we know what they're up to. I do think it's always good to, I mean, check in with them. I mean, how they're feeling, how they're doing these days. And if we have something good to say, I hope it's not just about how they look. Or, hey, you go and extend eyelash, like, you know, hey, you bought this new dress. I hope that's not all that we say about our friends, but how they maybe perhaps overcome certain struggles at work. Or like, you know, when they are being put in such a difficult situation, but they don't allow that situation to overwhelm them, or they, you know, just handled a difficult situation so well, so wise, and so calm. You know, like, I think these are things that we need to
place more value on.
Tell our friends that, you know.
And I feel this is so good because I feel like unknowingly, actually, that's what my friends have been doing for me. And that's why I was able to not just focus on this. Like, I have a friend who is very sweet. She will like really text me okay, for example, the previous episode I shared about friendship breakup, then I cry until then my friend, like, after watching the episode, actually, because she knows like what's been going on, right? She sent me a very, very long text to kind of share like what she sees in me and like who she thinks I am, how she's very proud of me. I was so touched because I felt like that was an affirmation of who I am beyond just like, wow, your hair today very shiny, very nice, you know, things like that. So yeah, exactly. And I feel like you're a great friend for wanting to do that for your friends. Yeah. Like, that's really good. I will do that more for my friends. What about you?
I think one thing I realized that as I was struggling, I kept myself isolated. So which is like, you know, adding on to what you shared, is to really, if you are struggling with, you know, body image, like no matter how, you know, you try to dismiss it, or you think like, it's nothing, it's so small, you know, why am I struggling over it? But still, I hope that you will choose to share it with someone. Yeah, like at least one person, to just have someone journey with you on this, because it can get very lonely and then you don't really know what to do, and you just need someone to be able to kind of receive your emotions, or receive however you are feeling. You just need a listening ear lah. Yeah, so I think it's helpful, and it's really good to have a friend to journey with you. And I think on your own, it really is to show yourself more grace and more patience, because for me, when I was recovering, I really did not know when this recovery would end, or when I can really walk out and, you know, come and share today. You know, I really didn't know. I really couldn't see an end to it. But with each day, I mean, with the good and bad days, I still chose to hang on to it and to say, okay, it's okay. If today, you know, these thoughts slip in, I will kind of like make the decision to want to fight these thoughts through again another day. A new day is a new opportunity for me to, you know, wrestle through these thoughts powerfully, and to choose to say that, hey, I don't want to let these thoughts have a hold on me. I want to choose a better outcome for myself. I want to work towards that, and each new day gives me that opportunity. So however many months, weeks, or years that you might take, right, I just hope that you will really give yourself patience and just celebrate every single small step towards, you know, being able to be free from this image struggle, body image struggle.
So good. And I think I've said this many times, but I think we are very glad that you can sit here today and share your story. Yeah, and I feel like both your stories actually would give our audience who are in your shoes, or who are going through the same thing as you went through, right, a lot of hope. Because I think like what you described, sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it can feel sometimes very hopeless, or like the light at the end of the tunnel is nowhere in sight. So I hope that if you tuned in all the way to this point, right, that you're encouraged by their stories, and we hope you really know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it is possible to walk out of it and to come into recovery. So thank you for joining us for our episode today. I really enjoyed it. I hope we have more girl talks because it was so fun and
Thank
so
you for
nice.
having us.
Yes. Thank you for sharing your stories. And for everybody else, right, we are so happy that you joined us for this entire episode. Thank you for tuning in. And as we come to the episode, right, you can feel free to subscribe to our channel, to follow us on ngl.people on Instagram and TikTok, as well as share this with anybody that you think would enjoy this episode and benefit from it. So until next time, we will see you again.
Bye.
Bye.